get your fix.
Are you ready? Are you ready to get your fix? Are you ready? Are you ready to get your fix? Are you ready? Are you ready to get your fix? Are you ready? Are you ready to get your fix? Are you ready? Are you ready to get your fix? Are you ready to get your fix?
With the Wicks here on this beautiful Friday, May 27th, 2022, and welcome to the show, whether that's on Facebook or on YouTube. If you're on Facebook, hit the like or the share. If you're on YouTube, hit the subscribe. It would be much, much appreciated. So today, there really isn't, well, actually, there is nothing happening in the world of the National Football League except for one little bit of information that we will get to at the end of the show. Other than that, we have some interesting little pieces of information that I thought were pretty relevant to kind of talk about today. One of them being that Todd Gurley says he didn't miss football last season. Quite interesting, I would say. We'll dive into that as well as how does Tua's arm look up to this point? A lot of speculation after a certain video was posted by the Miami Dolphins social media team just a couple weeks ago, maybe like a month ago or something like that. And then last but not least, is Christian McCaffrey trying to stay healthy for once? Well, just might be. So are you ready to get your fix? So like I started off, there's literally nothing happening in the world of the National Football League, but seen some interesting things on the old Instagram or social media, basically all around. And one of those little tidbits or pieces of information actually came from the Miami Dolphins. Not their social media team, not their owner, not their coach, not anybody on their front office staff or any of their coaches, I should say, but a player. Wide receiver Tyreek Hill said that Tua's arm has been one of the prettiest balls I've ever caught in my life. All right, well, that's pretty good, actually, to hear from a wide receiver that's going to be catching quite a few balls from Tua this season. We've seen a video of Tua launching a ball about 40, 50 yards down the field to Tyreek Hill, in which Tua ended up getting absolutely roasted on the internet. Oh, he can't make the throw. His arm is not strong enough. He's never going to never going to throw the ball deep enough for Tyreek Hill. This offense is going to be the same old check down throws and kind of keeping Tua on an okay level of playing. Well, for those of you that thought that, I think you're kind of naive and other stuff I could say, but really don't have the words for it. But when I seen that video, I thought to myself, pretty nice ball. They're working. Oh, and Tyreek literally just started practicing with Tua. They haven't been practicing together at all their entire career, basically. He finally gets traded to Miami. Of course, the chemistry is not going to be 100% right off the get-go. So, yeah, the ball might have been a little short. Tyreek Hill might have had to stop, or might have stopped just a brief second to catch the ball. But if there's one thing you've seen Tyreek Hill's entire career, it's the fact that he burns corners on a routine basis. Okay, it's routine for him to go out every single route and burn a corner by at least 2 to 3 yards, maybe 5 yards, and maybe 10 yards at times. Yeah, if he underthrows the ball a little bit, so be it. Tyreek Hill will find a way to either A, catch the ball, or B, make sure the corner doesn't catch the ball. And now they've had time to work together. And Tua's arm looks just fine in the eyes of Tyreek Hill, and that's a massive plus because this Miami team, they're right on the brink of being really, really good. They've had a couple seasons where, they had a winning record or whatever it was a couple of years ago or close to winning record. Last year, they won 8 of their last 9 ball games to look at least a little bit different. Or I think they would finish the season, 9-8 last season. So a winning record. 3rd in their division, I believe. They've been on the come up. Okay? They used to be ass after the Dan Marino era. Plain and simple. But this offseason, they took it into their own hands. Got a new head coach in Mike McDaniel. Traded for Tyreek Hill. Signed Terron Armstead. Signed Raheem Mostert. Chase Edmonds. Sony Michel. They have literally built this team like every team that we've seen go ahead and win a Super Bowl in the past. Going all in. Getting what it takes. Getting the pieces, the right pieces, in the building so that they have a chance to make a Super Bowl run. And with Tua's arm looking super good, okay? Actually, in the words of Tua, the prettiest or one of the prettiest balls I've ever caught in my life. The Dolphin season is looking up. On other news, Todd Gurley said that he didn't miss football last season. He didn't play at all. Okay, we understood that whole fact, and the reason behind that was because he was asking too much money, and teams didn't want to pay Todd Gurley upwards of whatever it was said to be, like $18 or $20 million a year. It just wasn't going to happen, okay? Especially with the way his production has went. Todd Gurley's production has dramatically decreased throughout the years, at least the past 4 years, not counting last year. So this is a quote from Todd Gurley. He said, "There was never, not one time where I watched a game and was like, I wish I was out there. I like doing whatever I want to do." But a reminder, okay, quick reminder. Nobody in the NFL has scored more touchdowns since 2016 than Todd Gurley with 69 touchdowns. 2016 was actually his last, not really his last, kind of the beginning of his superstardom or his prime. But it would last very briefly, to say the least, okay? From 2017 to 2020, I'll give you some stats here. His rushing yards from 2017 going to 2020 went 1,305, 1,251, 857, and 678 yards. His receiving yards from 2017 to 2020, 788, 580, 207, and 164 yards. Every single year, rushing, receiving from 2017 to the last year he played in the National Football League, his stats dramatically decreased. He never once, after a bad year, got better. He couldn't keep his prime for longer than 3 years. Came in the NFL and he was said to be the next Adrian Peterson. But the thing about it was, and I said this before I even got the chance to start my show, get your fix of the Wicks, I said, it's not really a good comparison. Because if you're comparing him to Adrian Peterson, that means every time he's on the football field, you know exactly what's going to happen. He's going to get the ball. He's going to run up the middle every single time. And if he doesn't, he's going to roll out for a little halfback screen and try to get his yards that way. Yes, it worked for a couple years. But we've seen the running back position mold into a position in which you can't just run the ball up the middle. You can't just go out for a halfback screen. You can't be a two-trick pony. Plain and simple. Okay? When you step on the field, you can't have the defense expecting you or expecting or knowing what is going to happen for the play that's coming. Todd Gurley, if he were to come into the league 10 years before he came into the league originally, he'd be an all-time great, in my opinion. He showed up in an era that what he was capable of doing just wasn't the best fit in the National Football League. He never got better. And when he went to Atlanta, we seen Cordero Patterson outshine Todd Gurley massively. Only 678 rushing yards with Atlanta. Only 164 receiving yards with Atlanta. That's compared with his, seasons with Los Angeles, where he had a couple of years where he had 1,000 plus rushing, 700 or close to 800 yards receiving. He was an absolute animal. Defense caught on real quickly of what he was capable of doing. And I don't blame him that he didn't miss football, because he's not going to get the money he wants. But outside of football, he has the chance to dabble in NFTs. Like he said, I like doing whatever I want to do. When you're in the National Football League, your schedule is completely packed. You have to do interviews. You have to work out. You have practice. You have to learn the playbook, watch film. I mean, I could go on and on about the things that he has to do every single day. And it has to be a routine. But now he gets the chance to, like I said, dabble in the NFTs. Do whatever he wants to do. Eat whatever he wants to eat. Invest in whatever he wants to invest in. Get commercials and etc. and all this other type of stuff. Be an ambassador for something. Whatever the hell he wants to do, he can do it. And when people decide they want to retire, I think the number one thing on their mind, or at least one of the things on their mind, is that they can see themselves doing something else. Whether that's staying home with the kids, or starting a show, starting a podcast, or starting a daily show like Pat McAfee did. He saw the social media world as the new thing, the better thing for his career, for his life. There's all types of things you can do outside of football, but when it crosses your mind that you can do something else, and you can see yourself doing something else, the door is not only open, but the door isn't even on its hinges anymore. It's just a fucking gateway. Like, it is an empty space that you can just walk out and say, see ya, football. Todd Gurley did not miss football last year. I don't blame him. Okay, he was never going to get the money that he wanted. He's having fun and enjoying life. And that's what everybody should do. Enjoy life. Once one door closes, we all know another one opens. And if you don't take that opportunity, you're going to stay miserable. And that's what a lot of people have done. Why I won't be satisfied having to work a 9 to 5, or even though I don't, okay, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to be satisfied until I can do this long term. Until I get there, we're going to keep grinding. And even when I do get there, even though I already have kind of got there, I'm going to continue to do it. Do what I love, because that's what makes me the most happiest. So Todd Gurley, glad you found your little peace, or some peace in life and some happiness in life and doing whatever the hell you want to do. That's Todd Gurley. But a guy that's actually in the National Football League playing the same position as Todd Gurley, or as Todd Gurley was at running back, Christian McCaffrey has had quite an interesting couple of seasons, I'd say. After he got 1,000 yards rushing, 1,000 yards receiving, Christian McCaffrey has had a problem with staying healthy. He's been hurt on numerous occasions. Missed, actually, I believe, damn near all of last season, where Chuba Hubbard had to come in, or Chuba Hubbard, however you want to say his name. I wish I would know how to pronounce it. I'll look into it again. But he came in and stole the show. Once the offseason hit, there's massive questions around Christian McCaffrey. Do the Panthers trade him? And that was an actual, real possibility. Probably still is. Because he's so injury prone that Carolina doesn't necessarily want to take a chance on him trying to lead them to the promised land. Even though he's a great running back. But there might be some positives to this. Christian McCaffrey is actually trying to stay healthy. As reported by Joe Pearson, or Joseph Pearson on Twitter, he says, Christian McCaffrey says he reached out to a number of former running backs about staying fresher, healthy, etc. Said Marshall Faulk gave him some great advice, which Christian McCaffrey did not want to divulge or did not want to basically be known to the outside world that he was seeking help. But I think it's a good thing that it was seen. Because not only does that make fans of Christian McCaffrey, fantasy owners of Christian McCaffrey, the owner of the Carolina Panthers, the coach of the Carolina Panthers, teams around the National Football League, Christian McCaffrey is admitting, hey, I can't stay healthy. I need to figure something out, and I need to figure out a way to play every single game in a season and be 100% every single time. I'm glad he's seeking advice, because if he's healthy, when he stays healthy, Christian McCaffrey is arguably the best running back in the National Football League. Plain and simple. You don't see many running backs get 1,000 yards rushing and 1,000 yards receiving in the exact same season. It just doesn't happen. At all. So the fact that he's seeking help to try to stay fresher, stay healthy, it's a massive, massive plus for the Carolina Panthers and Christian McCaffrey, because, hey, he's an absolute dog on the football field when he's healthy. And especially for fantasy owners out there who decide to draft him number 2 overall, number 3 overall, number 1 overall, gets him going the first couple weeks, and then bam, out for the season. There goes the fantasy season for those guys. They're pissed. Their money's out of the window now. They're like, I just lost 50 fucking bucks. It's bullshit. Hasn't happened to me because I stay away from him. All right? It's kind of simple. It's simple not to draft him right away. I mean, if you're stuck with him, you might as well, because you never know if he stays healthy or not. But I'm glad he's seeking help to stay fresher and healthy. And finally, the only piece of news that has actually came out on this beautiful Friday. I mean, it's absolutely gorgeous outside. You guys got to go out and soak up the sun as much as possible this summer. It is going to be a great summer, especially with the Memorial Weekend coming this Monday. Woohoo! Pools open, parties start getting, more electrifying. People start grooving and having more fun. Nobody's in that depressed stage that winter brought along. You can't go outside because it's fucking negative 10 degrees. It's snowing. It's icy. You fall. You fucking break your hip or whatever the case may be. Summer's a great time. But the only piece of news that came out today, and it's a pretty good one. Ian Rappaport reported on Twitter that the Browns and franchise tag David Njoku, tight end, have reached an agreement in principle on a large new 4-year, $56.75 million contract extension, sources tell him and Tom Pelissero. He gets $28 million guaranteed at signing on the deal that averages $14.18 million per year, and this makes him the 5th highest paid tight end in the National Football League. I'm pumped for it. I'm super pumped for it, just because a couple years ago, hadn't started the show that I do every day now. I was a little naive, okay? Would use David Njoku on the old Madden. Thought he was pretty good. Watching him on Sundays, he was pretty good. I thought the Browns should have bought into him. And then the Browns to go and decide to bring in not one tight end, but two tight ends. Austin Hooper being one of them. Austin Hooper, pretty good at what he does. Really good tight end. At the time when they brought him in, probably a little bit better than David Njoku. The other one, I think it was Hayden Hurst, if I'm not mistaken. Could be wrong on that. Should have looked it up. I didn't. All right, this is David Njoku's time to shine, and rightfully so. But when they brought Austin Hooper in, the other tight end, whether it's Hayden Hurst, whoever the fuck it was, I thought to myself, oh, okay, the Browns are not completely sold on the fact that David Njoku is a top tight end in the National Football League. They don't trust him. They don't want to put money on a guy that's young, hasn't reached his prime, and is a dog. In the dog pond. All right, you draft him for a reason. But the Austin Hooper experiment kind of worked. Not really. But over the last 2 seasons, David Njoku has been on an absolute tear, scoring touchdowns left and right. Well, I guess left and right. Kind of left and right. We'll see. All right, never mind. Not really left and right. But I think there's a lot of upside with him. Because he's a blocking tight end, he's a receiving tight end, he knows the playbook, has that chemistry, and he still hasn't reached his prime, in my opinion. Last year, 475 receiving yards, 4 tutties. And that's coming after a year where he had 213 yards and only 2 touchdowns. His best year was in 2018 with only 639 yards and 4 touchdowns. And then, obviously, after that, 41 yards, but he got hurt that season. That's when they brought in Austin Hooper, the other tight end. And since then, he's kind of gradually became what he has become today. And I think this season's going to be a breakout year for Njoku. I'm expecting 8 touchdowns out of this guy. Especially with Deshaun Watson being their new quarterback. Okay, pending suspension. But David Njoku's a special guy, special tight end. And I think he's going to be pretty good this year. I think we can expect close to 700 receiving yards, which would be a massive increase in production for him, and 8 touchdowns. That's pretty good. And then the year after that, we're looking at 1,000 maybe. 1,000 receiving yards, 10 or 12 touchdowns, and the rest is history. David Njoku signs a 4-year, $56.75 million contract extension with the Browns to stay a Cleveland Brown. Pump for him, pump for the tight ends. And that is all I have for you guys today. Not much happened in the world of the National Football League, but go enjoy your weekend. Enjoy Monday. I have still yet to decide whether or not we're going to do the show Monday because obviously it's Memorial Day. A lot of people are going to be out and about celebrating, camping, going to the pool and having their own types of fun, celebrating the veterans and all that stuff. So enjoy your weekend. Be safe out there. Drink some Bud Lights, okay? Have some great times with family, friends, or yourself. Whatever you want to do, just have fun doing so. Love life because we never know when our last day might come. So be safe out there. Be smart out there. Have a great rest of your weekend. We might see you Monday, but for sure, if not, I will let you know, and we'll be back here Tuesday at 6 p.m. Central Time, like always. Thank you so much for watching, folks, and you just got your fix with the Wicks and deuces.